Hello all you fabulous people of the Finternet. I hope you're all doing fantastically. Today we are back on the Accord and I'm going to show you what we are going to do today and what the plan is. So basically the process of this video is going to be get this thing finished mechanically, get all the brakes done, all the suspension and steering work done and get it aligned and get it driving properly. So that's basically going to be the goal, but we are going to pause on that quickly because we have Canis here somewhere. Kane is good with a buff. So while I'm doing other work, he's offered to come in and run his magic wand over this thing. You can interpret that however you want. Obviously the bonnet is no good. The roof is no good. The boot lid is no good. We have scratches on the side of the car as well. A few on the back. This is all oxidized all through here, all faded. Mirrors are no good. So the reason why we're doing this first is Kane is available today. So while I do other stuff, he's going to get going on that. And also if we can make this bonnet look acceptable enough, then we might just repair this front corner of it rather than replace it. So let's just get stuck into that and we'll show you what it looks like once it's done, ignoring that. Rightio, Kane has worked his magic over the last few hours and it's actually come up pretty good. We were not going for perfect, we were going for better, and better is what we got. So the bonnet still looks average. We will still be hopefully replacing this bonnet if I can find one. I'm having trouble trying to find one. This side of the car's come up really good. The roof has come up better, which is what we wanted. It's actually got some nice gloss to it on the panels that are good. Boot lid's come up pretty good. Still has some oxidization, but it is a lot better. And this side's actually come up really nice. I'm really happy with how this whole side's turned out. So good job, bro. So now we can get the thing inside, get it set up on the hoist, because tomorrow we're going to get stuck into doing all the other mechanical stuff on this underneath the car. We've got Allmate set up on the hoist and we're going to start with the rear end just to get it out of the way. So we need to do some suspension arms, some suspension bushes and some rear rotors and pads. So we've already got the wheels off and I've already sucked the brake fluid out of the reservoir and we're going to start by doing the rear rotors and pads. This side, this rotor is undersized and it looks like it's been metal on metal at some stage with how roughed up it is. Pad-wise, there's probably, I'd probably call that 30 or 40% left on the pads, but if we are doing rotors, we're going to do pads at the same time. So to do this, we need to undo the main caliper bolts that hold the caliper to the hub on the back so we can get the caliper off and then get the disc off. Brakes-wise, we're just going in with some standard replacement DBA rear rotors and some Bendix GCT brake pads. So once we do this as well, we also need to do a brake fluid flush. So we'll go through, get the calipers off, get the rotors off, and then we'll touch back. And we've got our old pads and rotors off. So the next step is going to be to install the new rotors. And we've got these little screws that were an absolute mungle to get off, even with my impact hammer, which retain the disc to the hub. I'll be honest with you, I've never seen cobwebs used as Loctite before, but every day you learn something new. So we'll get the new rotors on, we'll get the caliper bolted back on with the main caliper bolts, and then we'll get the outer part of the caliper off the caliper bracket so we can wind back the caliper. These are wind back calipers, which are my favorite. Not really. So let's get into it. Got our beautiful new rotors on, looking all schmick. Now we can go through and undo our two 12mm bolts that hold the caliper to the caliper bracket. So that's going to take this part of the caliper off. Then we can grease up our slides that are in here. And then we can go about winding back the piston on the caliper back into its housing. That's going to push brake fluid back to the reservoir. So that's why we sucked out the brake fluid before we started any of this. So, and then once that's done, we can suck the rest of the brake fluid back out, fill it up with new stuff and start bleeding the brakes. So we'll go through and get this apart and I'll show you how we wind back the calipers. Alrighty, so we're up to pushing our pistons back in our calipers. We've greased up our slides. I have this air pneumatic tool by Blue Point. You can also use wind back ones that you wind back by hand, which I also have, but I have this, so I'm going to use it. This makes it super simple. You pull the trigger to apply pressure, you spin this guy around, and that pushes the piston in as it spins it until it's all the way home. We'll get this done on both sides. New pads in, put it back together. Awesome, back together. Both sides are all done. So all that's left now is to drop it back down. We'll suck the rest of the remaining fluid out of the reservoir, fill it up with some new stuff, and then we'll bleed it through from each corner. So I normally bleed through the rears, then I'll top up the fluid again and I'll bleed through the fronts. You've seen me do that multiple times on my channel before. If you haven't, please go back into my previous videos. So we'll just get the brake fluid side of things done. Cool beans. Our brakes are all finalised. Brake fluid's done. Whenever I do a brake fluid flush, regardless if I'm replacing brakes or not, when I finish bleeding it through, I top up the master cylinder. I also like to start the car and pump the brake pedal a few times. When I do replace brakes, especially on cars that have got wind back calipers, I also like to pull the handbrake up and down a few times as well. So, and then finalize the brake fluid level. So that is all done. So the next thing we're going to do in the rear end of this thing is we need to replace these bushes in here and these ones in here. These ones I've got replacement arms for, which I need to go get off the shelf. And these bushes here are pressed into the knuckle. So we basically need to undo the handbrake cable, get this bolt out, holding this section of the arm in, get this bolt out. And before fitting the new arm, we need to press that bush out and press the new bush in, which I've got an on-car tool, which I'm hoping can do this. They don't look too bad when you look at it like this, but if you pry on it, you will see that these are split all the way through, as are these ones. So we'll go through, get these two arms out, and I'll show you what the plan is. We have our lower arms out, chilling on the floor. We've got our on-car press tool set up using a combination of different kits. We're pushing the bush through, which will end up sitting in here once it's pushed out. So we'll get that one out, then we'll go through and get that one out, and then figure out how we're going to put the new ones in. Boom, just like that. This side's out as well. There's our old bushes. This is what we are going in with. So we've got a couple of new bushes for the rear knuckles, a couple of new arms for the arms. So now it's just a matter of going by and reversing the process and getting this together. Awesome sauce. We have our new bushes in our knuckles. Looking good. Now we can go through and fit our new arms. You can actually see how badly perished these bushes were. This side was a lot worse. But anyway, we'll get the new ones in. We'll lift the arms up to ride height to tighten up the bushes. Wheels on, move on to the front. And done. All right, legends, rear is all done. Wheels are back on, ready to rock and roll back there. That is as far as we're gonna go. Moving on to front stuff. So obviously we have some stuff damaged on this side. I know we definitely need a tie rod end. I think we need a rack end. But one other thing I noticed is this lower control arm's actually bent. So, and the bushes are just starting to crack in there as well. And also up in here, these bushes are also starting to go, or are on their way out. This side is a lot worse than the other side because this side has had a hit. But basically, if you look at this section of the arm in relation to the front K-frame, see how close it is there? Naturally, they do have a bend here, but looking at that, comparing it to this side, you can actually see that the bend in this arm is a lot less than that side. But because this bush up here, this front bush is also going, we're actually going to replace both the front lower control arms. And once we get this side apart, we'll also check that rack end and see if we need to do that as well. But we're going to start on this side and save the damaged corner till last. So we're going to get this wheel off. Then we're going to undo our lower ball joint. We can undo our lower strut bracket mount. And then we can undo our front bolt for the lower control arm and our rear bolt for the lower control arm. So we'll go through and get all this busted apart first, and we'll go from there. All right, everything's undone. We also had a sway bar link to undo, which I forgot about. Ball joint is cracked. Strut bracket is off. Both of our inner mounts are off. So now we just bust out the old pry bar and get this arm out of here. Old versus new, we are using Pedder's arms. As you guys know, I'm an advocate for Pedder's. That's the lower arm for the other side, and that's my rack end and tie rod end for the other side as well. Now we'll just reverse the process, get this one installed. So I've got all of our bolts in and started, but none of them are tight. Our strut bolt. One thing that is really good measure that you must do when replacing arms that have torsional twist on them is you need to get the arm to ride height before you go tightening up the bolts. So bolts like that and that are really important. This one, not so much, as it's a lateral bush, so just getting it close to ride height just makes it easier to get in, I guess. And ball joints don't really matter. One thing that makes life easier to getting it to ride height is one of these stands, and also keeping the sway bar link disconnected so it doesn't want to flex up the other side as well. So now that we've got some tension on this holding everything up, we'll go through tightening everything up, drop this thing down, put our sway bar link in and chuck our wheel on, and then this side is done. Alrighty, so this side is completely and totally finished, all ready to rock and roll. So that is back and left front done. Now all we have left is the damaged corner, which is pretty much going to be a rinse and repeat of this side with doing the lower arm. We're going to do exactly the same on this side, except on this side we are also going to undo the tie rod end from the hub because we know that tie rod end is stuffed, and then we can also check the rack end. So let's just go through and get this side fully blown apart. Rightio, through the magic of internet, this side is also all done, just like that. So now we're going to go through and get the split pin out, get this nut backed off. We'll bang on here with the big hammer to pop the tie rod end. We will loosen the lock nut, unscrew the tie rod end because we know we need to replace that. And then we'll have a bit of a feel of the rack end and see if that needs to be done too. Our tie rod end off, and we've given this thing a good shake and squeeze, and it all feels good. Even the stiffness in the joint feels pretty good as well. It's not loose, so that's good. So we can pretty much leave the rack end. We just need to do the tie rod end. This is completely flogged. This you can actually plunger it up and down by hand. So there's heaps of play in that joint is shot. Here's our new one. We'll throw that on, get the front end back together. Fantastic, tie rod end is in, it's tight, and our front end repairs are pretty much done when it comes to mechanical stuff. So now we're going to drop this thing down, send it across the road to get the wheel alignment done. Mechanically, after the alignment, we're pretty much done with the exception of an oil and oil filter change on the engine. As I said before, we'll do that right before we get this thing on the road. So let's get it across the road. All right, guys, so we got the Honda back from the alignment, and I've got good news and I've got bad news for you, and then some good news as well, I guess. So I'll give you the good news first, and that is that the alignment came up mint. So everything is all within spec. We just took it for a drive through the estate, and it actually drives amazing. It goes really, really well for what it is. I was actually surprised. It's been a long time since I've driven a K24 powered car with a manual, and it does surprise me how well they go and how comfortable they are. So that's really, really good. The bad news is we are not going to be fixing the damage on the front of this. I was going to be doing a third installment in the episode, or a third episode in the installment of doing up this car. The third one was going to be to fix that. The reason why, the guy that owns the alignment shop has got a daughter who's about to get her license. She was actually there at the time. They've been looking for a car for about 6 months, and he actually asked me if I want to sell it. And we got chatting, and we settled on a price which is cheap, but it saves me from fixing that. And the kicker of that is the guy that runs the alignment shop is actually an ex-panel beater. So he's happy to buy the car damaged, and he's going to go through and fix it. So there won't be a third installment on this car, but we are going to finish off a couple more things that I said that I would do before we hand the car over. First one is we actually need to replace the driver's seat belt. Driver's seat belt does not retract, so we do have a replacement one for it. So let's just go through, get this seat belt out, and we'll get to getting it changed over. So to change our belt, we start by unclipping the sill covers front and back, and that allows us to drop this B-pillar trim down, and there is a whole bunch of yuck in here. So my next step is going to be bust out the vacuum cleaner, because I do not want to get chlamydia syphilis working on this car. Alrighty, now that we've got that sort of relatively cleaned up, we have our lower belt bolt hiding down behind this cover. Then behind this cover, which lives up here, there is another bolt up here. And then we have our main seatbelt mounting bolt there. And we will also need to unclip that airbag plug as well. So we'll go through and get all of this stuff unbolted. Oh, and also there is another smaller bolt there. So we'll go through, get these 4 bolts out, get this thing out of here. Alrighty, we are all unbolted. That can come out. Plonk, and here's our new one. Cross over a couple of the bolts, get that one installed. Just like that, our replacement seatbelt is done, and it does retract. Happy days. On to the last job that we need to do on this thing. So the last thing we need to do on this thing is, yes, of course, do the engine oil and oil filter. So that is the last mechanical item on the list, and that is going to be the last thing that we do on this car. So I'm just going to start the engine up, let the oil warm up a bit. So we'll let it run for 5 or 10 minutes, just get a little bit warm. I have no idea how old the oil in this thing is, so I want to make sure we can get it warmed up to drain out as much of it as we can. And then we're going to go in with some fresh stuff. So we've got the beast back up on the hoist. Our oil filter is up here. It actually looks like it's got a genuine Honda oil filter on it. So we just got to get that off. Here's our sun plug for our engine oil. We're going in with a Ryco oil filter, Z547, and I've canned off some Penrite 10W40 semi-synthetic, which is what we're going to be going in with engine oil. You guys have seen me do oil changes 347,000 times in the past, so I don't need to record this, but let's just do it. What a stupid spot for an oil filter. Drive shaft's covered, frame rail's covered. But anyway, a clean. Filter done, cleaned down, oil draining. Going in with some fresh golden sauce. Running it again for 20 seconds, we'll shut it off, check the oil level, done. Awesome, all done. Well, that there's going to do us, guys. We have just delivered the car across the road. It is off to its new home. And I do, again, apologize that we will not get to see the final installment of getting the thing looking the way that it should. But I do hope that you've still enjoyed this two-part, which was supposed to be a three-part series on the Accord. If you want to see more content sort of like this, please remember to like and subscribe. Until I see you guys in the next video, as always, be good to yourselves and each other.